to say to the rest of the country, welcome to the new Georgia, welcome to the blue Georgia. Georgia, they didn't see you coming. But here we are. And here she is in just a little while, Madam Vice President-Elect Kamala Harris. I like the sound of that. You flip this state blue. And come January 5th, when you send me and Jon Ossoff to the United States Senate, we're going to seal the deal. So make sure that we keep this momentum going all the way to January 5th. Don't let up for one bit. January 5th is election day, but let me tell you, we should no longer be talking about election day. There's no such thing. It's election season. We can't wait until January 5th. Anything can happen. Ice storm in Georgia, you know we're in trouble. And so start voting now. During this early voting period that goes through December 31st, make voting part of your holiday plan. Don't wait. There's too much at stake. Because the four words ever uttered in a democracy are the people have spoken. And on November 3rd, you spoke loud and clear. And you sent Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to the White House with Georgia's 16 electoral votes. We know they won because we counted them. And then we counted them again. And then we counted them again. Can there be any doubt that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are the President-Elect of the United States of America? But they will need help. And that's what this moment is all about. That you would send Jon Ossoff and myself, that you would give us the great honor from every Sunday. As pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church, spiritual home of Dr. King and the great John Lewis, who would be telling us right now, vote like you never voted before. And I'm honored just to be a part of this effort. I really am. Because no matter whatever I've been able to achieve, I've never forgotten where I came from. I was raised in public housing. One of 12 children in my family, I'm number 11. 12 kids. My folks are preachers and they clearly read the Bible, be fruitful and multiply. I'm the first graduate of a four-year institution in my family. Morehouse College. I got there through hard work, grit, and determination. But I got there because somebody gave me some Pell Grants and some low-interest student loans. And I'm running because it's harder now for kids growing up in struggling families than it was for me all of those years ago. But when you look at me, you see an iteration and an example of the American story. Because I grew up in public housing. My mom was from Waycross, Georgia. That's way across Georgia. She grew up in the 1950s, and as a black teenager, she spent many summers picking somebody else's cotton. She spent many days picking somebody else's tobacco. But the other day, those 82-year-old hands that used to pick somebody else's cotton picked her youngest son to be the next United States Senator from the great state of Georgia. And that's what I like about America. I love America because it is a great country that gives us the path to make it greater. And the way we make it greater is for the people to stand up. We're the only ones who can. This is our democracy. It doesn't belong to the politicians. It belongs to the people. They serve at our pleasure. And so I'm deeply honored. The stakes of this election cannot be overstated. We've got to pass COVID-19 relief. We've got to make sure that workers are at the center of any relief that we provide. We've got to protect ordinary people. We've got to look out for our frontline workers, for our healthcare workers, for our police officers and our firemen and firewomen. We've got to look out for those who put it all on the line for us, who risk their lives by saving lives every day. We've got to get this vaccine distributed safely and efficiently. We've got to make sure that communities of color and other marginalized communities don't find themselves at the back of the line. We've got to stand up for our essential workers. Isn't it interesting? The folk that we have too often ignored, refuse to pay a livable wage. This pandemic has reminded us of how important they really are. The folk who stock grocery store shelves in the middle of the night while many of us are asleep. The folk who keep the economy humming, we now call them essential workers. Well, if they are essential workers, and indeed they are, we ought to pay them an essential wage, provide for them essential benefits. It's only right. And we have to strengthen the Affordable Health Care Act. And make sure we cover everybody. I believe that health care is a human right. And it is certainly something that the wealthiest nation on the planet can and ought to provide for all of its citizens. We can do it. We just have to commit to doing it. I've been moving all across this state, dropping by little towns. And when I go into these small rural towns, they're surprised that I'm there. I'm surprised that they're surprised. They say, Reverend, we're not used to someone running for the Senate coming by our little town. And that's strange to me because I'm running to be a United States Senator for the whole state of Georgia. And too many of our rural areas have been devastated. We've had 9 hospitals closed in this state in 10 years because we refuse to expand Medicaid. Georgia deserves a United States Senator or 2 United States Senators who believe that health care is a human right, who will strengthen the Affordable Care Act instead of trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, and who will make sure that people with pre-existing conditions can never be denied coverage from health insurance companies. Georgia deserves a United States Senator who understands that when kids come out of school, they should not be so burdened with college debt that they have a mortgage before they have a mortgage. Then we got to invest in this country through infrastructure investments that will create broadband in these rural areas, repair our roads and our bridges businesses and our broken infrastructure, because our broken infrastructure is a reflection of our broken politics, and we must rise up in this defining moment in America and repair our roads and bridges, repair our democracy for the sake of the people. And we can do it. The only way to do it is to stand together. So push hard now in these remaining couple of weeks and push back against the forces that try to divide us. Have you noticed? I'm trying to have a substantive debate about the people of Georgia, and my opponent is trying to reduce this race to the kind of empty schoolyard insults made between children who aren't thinking very carefully on the playground. This is serious business, and she's busy calling me names. I'm trying to have a debate, and she's engaged in name calling. That's all right, as we say in the South, bless her heart. She can call me whatever she wants. Here's what I believe. I believe that health care is a human right. We can provide it in the richest nation on the planet. I believe that seniors should not have to choose between buying food and buying prescription drugs. And I believe that people who work hard every day deserve a livable wage. She can call that whatever she wants. I call it common sense. And so here's the thing. I know it's dark, but we can get through this together. We the people can do it. That is the covenant we have with one another as an American people. We, the people. Who are we? We are those who work hard every day and can barely get by. We the people. We who work hard because we have heart, but we don't have health care. We the people. We who work to make others rich, but we can barely make the rent. We the people. We who are trying to struggle and make our way through college and technical school and vocational school so we can contribute to the great American democracy. We the people. We who are doing okay economically. But deep in our heart, we know that something is amiss, that something is wrong, and that it needs to be repaired. And we, the people, are the ones who can fix it in this defining moment in American history. My dad used to wake me up every morning as I close, and nobody believes a Baptist preacher when he says as I close. They say Rev's got at least 2 or 3 more closes, but I'm honestly, as I close, my dad used to wake me up every morning because he had a serious work ethic. He was a veteran. He learned early to wake up early and get started. He was a pastor and he was a small businessman. He had things to handle. And so it didn't matter to him whether it was a school day or summertime or Saturday. He woke me up 7 days a week, often at dawn. And he had a way of saying, son, get up, get dressed, put your shoes on, get ready. He didn't think you should sleep late or you should walk around, unprepared. And so he said, get up, get dressed, put your shoes on, get ready. And I was a little boy, and so I asked him, Dad, it's Saturday. And I'm 17 years old. Get ready for what? And sometimes I stump him and he said, I don't know, I'll figure that out later. You just be ready. shoes on, son. He wake me up at dawn. And the thing about dawn is that it's morning, but it's still dark. It's dark, but morning is on the way. And so I want to say to you, Columbus, Georgia, I want to say to you, America, that I know it's dark, but morning is on the way. And weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. Are you ready to win this election? Well, get up. Get dressed. Put your shoes on. Get ready. Call everybody you know. Tell them it's time to vote like we've never voted before. Get up. Get dressed. Put your shoes on. Get ready. Until we have affordable health care, until we have a livable wage, let's fight together, let's struggle together, let's stay together, let's pray together, let's march together, and together we win. God bless you.
Please welcome Jon Ossoff, candidate for U.S. Senate.
Hey, y'all. Hello, Columbus. Columbus, give it up again for my friend, Reverend Raphael Warnock. Columbus, it is great to be here. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you for all you're doing. Thank you for how hard you're working. Thank you for joining us this morning to welcome the Vice President-Elect of the United States, Kamala Harris. Columbus, the whole country is watching Georgia right now. The whole country is watching Georgia right now. All eyes on Georgia. And Columbus, think about how far we've come. Think about how far we've come in the American South. Think about how far we've come in the great state of Georgia, now the most competitive battleground state in the United States. Hosting 2 U.S. Senate runoffs for control of the United States Senate. Think about how far we've come, Columbus, that your standard bearers are the young Jewish son of an immigrant mentored by John Lewis and a black preacher who holds Dr. King's pulpit at Ebenezer Baptist Church. Columbus, think about how far we've come. Good trouble. And we're running against like the Bonnie and Clyde of corruption in American politics. Columbus, how did we wind up with Kelly and David? How did we wind up with Kelly and David? 2 United States senators more concerned with using their offices to line their own pockets than looking out for we the people who pay their salaries. We deserve better, Columbus, and retirement is coming for Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue. We have the power, Columbus. We have the power to hold them accountable. And we have bigger and better things to discuss than David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, like where we go from here. Georgia has the power to decide where we go from here. We have the power to write the next chapter in American history. because the fog is lifting. Donald Trump is leaving. He may not know it yet, but Donald Trump is leaving, and Georgia voters sent Donald Trump packing. You did that. So what comes next is up to us. In Columbus, we are building a movement for health and jobs and justice for the people. Health and jobs and justice for all the people. Let's talk about health, Columbus. Do you believe, like I do, and like Reverend Warnock does, that health care is a human right and not just a privilege for those who can afford it or who live in the right zip code? Do you believe, like I do, that every single Georgian deserves the best health care available on earth? We can make that happen. I was just out in Cuthbert, Georgia, 3 days ago. In Cuthbert, they lost their hospital in October. In the middle of a pandemic, their hospital closed down. And David Perdue and this state's political leaders who refuse to expand Medicaid are responsible for the closure of rural hospitals across this state. We've lost 9 rural hospitals in 10 years, Columbus. And if you send me and Reverend Warnock to the Senate, we will deliver the resources to reopen those hospitals and to build clinics that will serve every community in Georgia, because we believe that health care is a human right and not just a privilege. We can stand up to the insurance and drug companies that are ripping off Georgia families every day. Surprise medical bills that arrive 6 months after a visit to the hospital. The prices that families are forced to pay at the pharmacy every day for life-saving medicines like insulin. It doesn't have to be this way, and we can fix it. We can make affordable health care a reality for every family in this state, because Columbus, health care is a human right and not just a privilege for those who can afford it. And this is about health and jobs and justice for all the people. Let's talk about jobs, Columbus. We have the chance to pass the most ambitious infrastructure and jobs and economic relief plan in American history to build back our economy after this crisis. We can repair our roads and bridges. We can build those clinics and hospitals. We can upgrade our public schools. We can ensure every community in Georgia has high-speed internet access. We can make Georgia the #1 producer of clean and renewable energy in the American South, and America the #1 producer of clean energy in the world. We can do these things, Columbus. We can create tens of thousands of jobs while we do it. We can raise the minimum wage to $15, because an honest week's work shouldn't just allow us to survive, it should allow us to thrive. We can do all of these things, Columbus. But let's be very clear about the stakes of these elections. Because if Mitch McConnell continues to control the U.S. Senate, he will try to do to Joe and Kamala just like he tried to do to President Obama. They will block the COVID relief that we need. They will block the minimum wage increase that we need. They will block the expansion of Pell Grants that would allow every young person in the state to get a 4-year degree from a public college or an HBCU without a penny of debt. We have too much good work to do, Columbus, to be mired in gridlock and obstruction. We have too much good work to do on behalf of the people. And Columbus, the polls are open right now. The polls are open right now. So Columbus, say it with me now. Say vote. Say vote. Say vote. The polls are open, Columbus. Health, jobs, and justice for the people. Let's talk about justice. Let's talk about justice. See, my mother came to this country as an immigrant when she was 23 years old because she believed in the ideas that America stands for. The ideas that so many have fought and sacrificed for. And Columbus, please join me in taking a moment to recognize all of the veterans and all of the military families who are here with us today. Thank you for your service. My mother came to this country because she believed in the ideas this country stands for. And let me be very clear that that doesn't mean she indulged some kind of fantasy about our past. That doesn't mean that she didn't recognize how much further this country had to go. But she believed, like the Reverend was just talking about, that this is a country on a journey of progress. That our democracy is what empowers us to build this country so that we fully realize our founding ideals of equality in God's eyes and equal justice under the law. That's what America is all about. And the ballot box is where we demand that progress. That's why my mother became a citizen. The ballot box, Columbus, is where we demand that progress. Columbus, say it with me again. Say vote. Say vote. Equal justice for all. The 14th Amendment to our Constitution already guarantees equal protection under the law. But when Ahmaud Arbery is shot to death in broad daylight on camera in the street, and the authorities look the other way because he is a young black man, that makes a mockery of equal protection under the law. So Columbus, are you ready to fight for a new Civil Rights Act that will secure equal justice for all, regardless of race and regardless of class? And a new Voting Rights Act that will protect the sacred franchise and end voter suppression? Columbus, we have the power to make this happen. The next 2 years can be the most productive for civil rights and voting rights since 1964 and 1965. We have the power as Georgia voters to make this happen. You have the power to make this happen. We have to organize and mobilize and work like we have never worked before. Columbus, are you ready to put in the work these next 2 weeks to make this happen? Are you ready to knock on doors and call your neighbors and get everybody you know at church and at school and at work out to the polls? Columbus, say it with me again now. Say vote. Say vote. Columbus, join me once again in thanking the Reverend Raphael Warnock for running for office. Columbus, join me again in welcoming the next Vice President of the United States, Senator Kamala Harris. Columbus, let's do this together. Let's do it from a place of love and compassion and decency and unity. We are turning the page on 4 years of hatred and fear and division and racism. Let's be filled with love for each other as we do this work. Let's build the kind of country we want to live to the next generation. I'm grateful to all of you for being here. I'm grateful for your support. God bless you. God bless the United States. And thank you for all that you're doing. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
just want to say how honored and I am to be here and introduce our next Vice President. I know that you all didn't just come here to see Vice President-Elect Harris, but I know that you're also here because you understand the importance of voting. You understood it in November when you voted in record numbers, and shout out to Georgia's young voters who were #1 in the country. Early voting has begun in our state, and I hope you understand the importance of your voice and your vote now, because we have unfinished business, Georgia. These 2 Senate races are so very critical to America's future, and in the words of President-Elect Biden and Vice President-Elect Harris, we are determining the soul of America. To those people who do not understand the importance of voting, our Vice President-Elect is a living image of America's voice. People who were born without a silver spoon, our next speaker is you. People who have had to fight for and earn the respect that they deserve, our next speaker is you. People of color, our next speaker is you. Women, our next speaker is you. America, our next speaker is you. Columbus, Georgia, please help me welcome the first female Vice President-Elect of the United States of America, Kamala Harris.
What's up, Columbus? It is so weird. Where's BJ? Where'd you go? How about BJ Tillman? Can we please give it up for her? So, BJ, I don't know what she doesn't do because she does everything. You got to know about her because she is an incredible leader. She, through this campaign up to November, was organizing folks, was registering folks, everyone from young students to the younger of the oldest of us. She has been organizing people and still continues to be such a leader. And when I look at someone like BJ, I know our future is bright. Let's give it up for BJ. All right, well, it is so good to be back in Georgia. It is so good to be back in Georgia. And I am here first and foremost to thank you all on behalf of Joe Biden and myself for doing what you did in November. Because you did what no one thought could be done. You did what no one thought could be done. And you made a statement not only about who is Georgia, what is the voice of Georgia, what are the priorities of Georgia, what Georgia will not allow to be denied about Georgia, but you also made a statement about who we are as a country. You allowed people around this nation to say, don't ever put us in a box and tell us who we are. We will tell you who we are. That's what you did. That's what you did right here in Columbus. And so I am here, first and foremost, on behalf of Joe Biden and myself to say thank you. Thank you for what you did. And of course, no good thank you comes without asking for a little bit more. So, January 5th. January 5th. You know, 2020 has been a difficult year. 2020 has been rough. You know, people making jokes about 2020, like, we want this thing to be over. But you know what? As far as I'm concerned, Georgia, Columbus, 2020 ain't over until January 5th. That's when 2020 will be over. That's when we'll get this thing done. Because as you know, everything is at stake when it comes to the need to elect Reverend Raphael Warnock, to elect Jon Ossoff, to elect Daniel Blackman, everything is at stake. Everything that was at stake in November is at stake leading up to January 5th. Look at what's happening right now in this state. We're looking across the country at so much devastation. People who have lost family members, lost time being able to go to work, lost time in terms of our children's education and the days of their education they have missed. There's been so much loss these years, and in particular this year. We're looking here in Georgia at the fact that 1 in 7 families is describing their household as being hungry. We're in the midst of a hunger crisis in America, and it's hitting Georgia hard. 1 in 7 describing hunger in their households. 1 in 6 Georgian families are describing an inability or difficulty to pay rent. 1 in 4 small businesses in Georgia have gone out of business or are about to go out of business. And what we are here to talk about, and why everyone, all the leaders are here right now together, because if you're here, you're a leader, is to say that we will have our voices heard. We will not let anyone silence us. We will speak up about what we need. We will tell you what we want, and we will make it happen through our vote. And just like you did, you will do it again. And here's the thing, you know, I was here, Joe Biden was here, we were all here together in Georgia before November. And remember how we knew what was at stake and the challenge ahead of us. We knew, like Stacey Abrams been telling us and organizing against it, that there would be powerful people trying to prevent us from voting. We knew the kind of games they would play to make it difficult, to suppress our vote, to make it confusing, to discourage us. And in November we talked about that and we said we know the challenge that is before us. Well, the same challenge exists today. And so we again ask, as it relates to January 5th, the question we asked in November: why are so many powerful people trying to make it so difficult for us to vote? We have to ask the question, why? And we know the answer. Because they know our power. They know when we vote, things change. They know when we vote, we win. So what we did in November, we can do again because it comes from a very deep place inside of us. Understanding this is not about a dance. This is not about a gesture. This is about our lives. This is about the lives of our children. This is about the life of our community and the lifeblood of our nation. Now, you all know I was elected to the United States Senate 4 years ago. Actually, bittersweet night. It was the same night Donald Trump was elected. But I was elected to the United States Senate, becoming only the second black woman in the history of the United States Senate to be elected. Only the second. I am currently the only black woman in the United States Senate. And here's what I have also come to visit with you to share. The decisions that are made in that body, in the United States Senate, there are only 100 senators. They call the United States Senate the most deliberative body in the world. They elect people, we elect people for 6 years in the United States Senate because the job is so important and potentially so powerful. And it's so important in terms of representing the state as a whole that we want to give people the amount of time that is necessary for them to establish themselves and a voice for their state in a way that they are not only leaders for their state but national leaders. It is in the United States Senate where I went to the floor, they call it the well of the Senate. It's a grand building, our United States Capitol is beautiful. And the panels, wood paneling, been there forever. Pristine desks. You can see the names of the founders of our democracy written in those desks. And I sat on that floor when the Republicans were trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act that they named Obamacare that brought health care to tens of millions of people in our country. I watched as they dared to play politics with people's lives and their well-being. And I saw with my own eyes, I was relatively new to the Senate, I saw with my own eyes the power of each of these individuals who are United States Senators. It's incredible. And as an example of that power, I saw what you probably saw by television. In the early morning, late at night, early morning hours on the United States Senate, I saw the power of just one senator when the late, great John McCain, on the issue of trying to get rid of Obamacare because President Obama, together with Vice President Joe Biden, brought it, so they wanted to attack it. But it was about America's health care. I saw the power of one senator when John McCain took to that floor and said, "No, you don't." He said, "No, you don't." The power of just one individual. And Georgia, Columbus, you got the power to send two. It is within your hands, within our grasp, to send these two leaders to Washington, D.C., who will fight for your voice. They are born out of this election cycle when people tried to silence and suppress you. But they were triumphant. They were born out of this election cycle when people dared to try and have us count 3 times your vote. And they are here to tell the story. They are born out of a moment when people dared from other states like Texas to recall your vote and your voice. But they live to tell the story. They are strong. They have survived these games people are playing because they are the strong voices of the people of this state. So we've got it within our power, and you have it within your hands, to make a statement about who is Georgia and the power of the voice of Georgia, sending these two, Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, to the United States Congress, to the United States Senate, to say, it is us, the people of Georgia, who will make a decision. It will not be made for us. We will make the decision about who represents us. So let's get this done. Let's get this done. And you know, I'm not here to tell you what's in your best interest, but I am here to say that the decision you make, the work you put into it, will impact people who you may never meet, people who may never know your names, but because of what you have done and are prepared to do, their lives will forever be better. When we look at this slogan That's about health. It's about jobs. It's about justice. That represents some of the most important voices in America that must be heard, cannot be overlooked. Raphael and Jon will do that. They will do that. This will not be easy. And it is within our power to change the course of the history of this country. Changing the balance in the United States Senate, which is what this election will do, will make all the difference about everything that they have talked to you about on this very stage this afternoon. As it relates to Medicare and Medicaid and an expansion here in Georgia, it would expand coverage for over 500,000 people, 500,000 people, depending on the outcome of this election. Joe Biden and I are saying, look, in places like Columbus, up and down Georgia, we've got Title I funded schools, which are the schools in the neighborhoods with some of the lowest tax base. And because our system is still kind of messed up, we fund school districts based on the tax base of a community, which of course means that in those communities that have the highest needs, they often have the fewest resources. We've got to deal with that. One of the ways Joe and I intend to do that is to triple Title I funding. But we need Raphael and Jon in the United States Senate to see that through. We are talking about respecting the need of all Americans to have economic health and well-being in a way that they have the dignity of being able to raise their families knowing that their hard work pays off. So Joe and I are talking about what we need to do to make sure that folks who are first-time home buyers get a $15,000 tax credit to be able to put a down payment or closing costs to buy a home. But we need the support and the votes to do that. We're talking about how we've got to support our small businesses. You know, here in Georgia, our small businesses, our black-owned businesses, are part of the economic lifeblood of our community. And they're closing. Part of how we got to get dealing with this moving forward is we need to make sure that our small businesses, with an emphasis on our minority-owned businesses, have access to capital. So Joe and I have got a plan for that. We need the votes in the Senate. We need Raphael and Jon there. When we're talking about what we need to do, as it relates to equal justice under law, those words are inscribed in that beautiful marble building called the United States Supreme Court. It's an ideal that we know we will always fight for and have not yet reached. And so we need to have folks who understand the importance of reforming our criminal justice system, reforming policing, doing what must be done to say, let us ban chokeholds and carotid holes. George Floyd would be alive today. Let us have a national standard for use of force. Let us require that as a nation we run our laws in a way that take into account the real history of America and do what is necessary to right what has been wrong. To do that, we will need the legislation to be passed. We will need Jon and Raphael in the United States Senate. These are the things that are at stake. And so I traveled here. I got to go back. I'm voting on that COVID package tonight in D.C., but I of course. And I will be voting for it. But I wanted to come and visit with you before Christmas, to ask that among the things that you plan to do for Christmas, we all have our traditions. So many of us, our traditions have been changed because of the virus and what we need to do to be safe. But in the spirit of this season, in the spirit of the celebration of a birth that taught us that it is within the power of an individual to leave this world better than we found it, Let us use these days leading up to January 5th in the spirit of all that is good and right, to make sure everyone we know understands their power, that they understand what is at stake. And my final point is this. 2020, we got all kinds of words for it, most of which we should not say in front of children. And like I said, I think 2020 will truly be over on January 5th. And that being said, Columbus, this moment will pass. This moment will pass. This moment of loss, this moment of so many crises hitting so hard, it will pass. And years from now, our children, our grandchildren, and others will look in our eyes, each one of us. They'll look in our eyes and they will ask us, where were you at that moment in time? Where were you? And what I know we all will be able to tell them is so much more than just how we felt at this moment. We will tell them what we did. We will tell them we were hanging out at Bib Mill